Okay, so the remainder theorem says that if I want to find out what f of x minus 3 is, I can either take this minus 3 and plug it into the x, and do the math, or I can do synthetic or long division, and the remainder would be my answer. So I find that synthetic division to me is easier, so I'm going to use synthetic division and do this one. So again, I have an upside down thing. I use the coefficients. I don't need a placeholder because it goes 3, 2, 1. So I have 4, 2, negative 8, 7, and then I'm going to put the negative 3 out here. Okay, so I use exactly what's here when it's an f of a number. If it was a factor, then I would use the opposite. But when it's like this, I use the exact value. Okay, again, it goes 3, 2, 1, nothing. So that means I don't need a placeholder. All right, so we remember we bring down the first term. Always bring down the first term. Now I'm going to multiply outside guys. So that's going to give me a negative 12. I'm going to add down. So that's going to give me a negative 10. I'm going to multiply again. And that's going to give me a 30. I'm going to add down. That's going to give me a 22. I'm going to multiply again. And that's going to give me a negative 66. And I'm going to add down, and that's going to give me a negative 59. Okay, so that is my actual answer. So I just found out that f of negative 3 is equal to negative 59. I could go and plug in this to each of these x's, and I would get negative 59. All right, but I find that synthetic division, that's a use for synthetic division, is to use, and that's called the remainder theorem. Second problem, using the remainder theorem. I'm going to use synthetic division again. Again, you can use long division if you really wanted to, but I find synthetic division's easier. So I'm going to do the upside down thing. I'm going to put the 5 out here because, again, it's not a factor. I'm going to look at my polynomial, and it goes 5, 4. It should go 3. There's not a 3, so I need a placeholder. Then 2, then 1, then a constant. So I need a placeholder in there after the x to the 4th. So x to the 5th, I want to put a 1 in because I always need to have something. Then I go minus 2, and then I'm going to put a 0, placeholder, 3, negative 8, and then a positive 6. All right, so first term always slides down, drops down. I put a 1. Now I'm going to multiply. So that's 5. I'm going to add 3, multiply 15, add 15, multiply, hold on, I'm going to multiply that, not there. So I'm going to multiply, so it's 45. Or no, 75, sorry. Add 78. Okay, multiply again. 390. Add 382. Multiply. Luckily, there's calculators handy. 1910. Okay, and then when I add, I get 1916. That is my remainder, and that would actually be my answer. So my answer for f of 5 is equal to 1916. That's my final answer. So if I were to take 5 and plug it into all these x's and did that math, I would get 1916. So the synthetic division is actually an easier way to do that. You still had to do a lot of calculating, but it's still an easier technique.